They're in my circle, and they pivot. They just pivot, but they didn't extend. They didn't get any longer. So if I connect all the red dots, literally all the red lines, I get the pattern for the suit. So again, we just derived this mathematically. It's nice that it looks good. And thank goodness we have Guy and a lot of his team for the aesthetics and things, but it's really all mathematically driven. The big scientific question, hypothesis would be, this has any relevance to actual biology? Could this be how skin collagen is actually laid down? And I don't know. Maybe we'll get a Nobel Prize if we solve that one. That's a tough one. I think it might, but I don't know. That's one of the toughest questions we have. So we make these pretty maps, if you will, for the technical folks. Those are strain maps, if you will. Why are they important? Red and really dark blue. If I'm bending, again, I want to make sure that you have natural motion. So if I'm bending, I have real high strain areas because I'm interested in what material am I going to make this suit out of. I know something about the patterning now, but what about the materials? And so this is basically tells me how the materials need to perform, because I need, the red is 40% strain. That's pretty high strain. So I need a material around the knee area that can give me 40% strain. Negative strain is the dark blue. Not surprisingly, the back of the knee, where my pants wrinkle, I have a negative 30, 35% strain. So now, and not so much strain in the other areas. So now I have to think about a material that can give me that profile. So that's how our models help us. And this is too much information on one slide, but this is our latest publication. I put it up here because I know you're talking about and interested in technology licensing and patenting. So again, I've been working on the biosuit for we don't even count, more than 10 years. It's taken a long time for me. Maybe I'm slow to actually put patents in technology licensing. But I call this the human skin strain calculator. And that's what we think our invention is here, is really being able to calculate these custom lines. And for spacesuits is one thing. I mean, that's kind of my passion. But hopefully it has much more applicability for medical needs or for athletics or something like that. So we call that lines of non-extension was a little example, but now we've taken the analysis further. The little green map here is an area of minimum compression, and the blue is minimum tension. So now it gives us the real complete picture, essentially, that we have. This is a work of a colleague in the colleagues at MIT that I just wanted to, when we said, what would be our technology roadmap? If we had all the money in the world, what technologies would we invest in to make this biosuit possible? This is one of my favorites. So one of the students, former students of Guy's, that was a designer, came up with these nice images for us. What if we sprayed on the spacesuit? And of course, everyone laughs. And I want it sprayed on in different colors. But you just do a little bit of research. People were talking about this in 1940. It's unbelievable. There's one paper in 1940, and there's still electrospin lacing. Electrospin lacing is the name of this technology. And it was a dream a while ago, and it's actually happening now. In Mark Rutledge's lab at MIT and Paula Hammond, who does a lot of spider silk work. This is images from their current paper. 2009 Nature Materials paper, so a couple years old now, and they're working on it. And these are designer materials, and that's great for me because I'm not a material scientist, but I know the characteristics of the suit and the materials that I want. So if we can make it, if you will, out of different kind of polymers, that's great for us. Now the catch is that they're not stable yet. So even if we specify the right polymer structure, that's great, but to do it in 3 dimensions and to make it stable, silk is good. Silk's pretty darn stable, right? These are not stable yet, but they're getting there. The research is fantastic, wonderful research. Okay, so it's a completely digital design of a spacesuit. We take you, put you in the laser scanner, then you go from the human form to the computer, then we fabricate it. One that's my size, that's not a typo, is about 340 meters. I'm about 3 soccer fields of lines. A lot of stitching. And again, we're just trying to maximize mobility and minimize your energy. Those are Those are basically our goals. Maximize your mobility, minimize your energy consumption. And right now, one of my latest PhD students is working in active materials, and we're developing our, well, we're learning about materials. We're aerospace engineers, but we work with material scientists to shape memory alloys, nickel, nitinol. You might have heard of some nickel, titanium. They're pretty interesting materials. So they give you human force torque levels, which is the benefit. Most materials are really great, but they're great for a little robot, like a little ant on Mars. They don't scale up to human force torque levels. So there's, we've looked at a lot of materials. Shape memory alloys and dielectric polymer, electromechanical and dielastic polymers are the two materials that we're developing and trying to incorporate as active materials into the suit. So I told you we did a technology roadmap, and again, where would the breakthroughs or innovations come through this? I have a list of 10. I just put a few of them on here. If we really wanted to achieve it, I mentioned electrospinning before. Melt blowing is very related, but in two-dimensional, kind of like latex surface. Very interesting technology. Electroactive materials, they're every day there's a new paper, so we just pay attention to what's happening. Electromechanical assistant to try to increase, to try to, if you're deconditioned, how can I make you move further or help? Some electromechanical solutions perhaps. And I mentioned shape memory alloys and polymers, where right now we have our efforts into that category because we think they're the best active materials for our purposes. Okay, so again, just a breakthrough technologies were, these are in a recent NASA report that I just thought were fun to show you, because they're pretty far out ideas. It's something that we think about all the time. Can we have morphing rovers? Because in nature, these kind of all exist, but can we do this for space exploration? Reconfigurable hybrid, Hugh Hare, who I mentioned before, who works very closely with Oscar Pistorius. The idea is hybrid humans. We don't talk about disability anymore, people with disabilities. No, what if you just eliminate all disability? It could be possible. And maybe we can just make one step in that. We could just eliminate all disabilities. Why not? It would be the human and the machine so closely working together that you just kind of get rid of. And if you look at some Oscars, I think he's a great testament to that. He doesn't call himself disabled at all. He says he just works with whatever ability he has. He does his best. And it's pretty phenomenal that he's in the Olympics. So it's that. And then how do we get superhuman performance? How do I get to run as fast as those guys? I need a lot of help. So we're looking at this, augmenting technologies for balance, speed, strength. The soft exoskeleton is kind of the recent work. The biosuit we're working on is now I think of it as a soft exoskeleton. I mentioned the active materials. Just this year, again, in collaboration with Guy and Michał Krasic, we came up with a new design for the biosuit helmet. So this is a mock-up, and we have a prototype now of a new kind of form-fitting design. I stopped here. We're fortunate. I guess it's an interesting idea. We get a lot of press, so I put it here because, again, I think we have a responsibility for the press that we get. It's a great opportunity for us to work with young folks and the public in general, but to say, hey, great things are possible. Everyone, little girls and boys and whoever you have, can be an engineer or a spacesuit designer or whatever they want to be. So we take advantage to use that for outreach and especially try to reach kids. And big fan of Wallace and Gromit, so when we got to be on the Wallace and Gromit show in claymation, we decided we'd made it. But we never got to meet Wallace and Gromit. I don't know if you guys are fans of Wallace and Gromit, big claymation. And so my only request was come to the lab. They came for hours, and my students were great, and we showed, and I said, can we meet Wallace and Gromit? And we never got to, because Wallace and Gromit hadn't been made yet. And they said, you're going to be disappointed. They're really small. But we'll have to go to England and meet them. They gave us a nice book.